Okay, so the Cadillac has a squeaking idler pulley. So we're gonna replace the idler pulley, and while at it, we're gonna replace the serpentine belt. The idler pulley is squeaking; it's really loud. You've probably heard it on the internal combustion gas leak detection video. So we're gonna replace these two. To replace it, we are going to use a serpentine belt removal tool, or you could also use a 1/2-inch drive ratchet, but it's more difficult. It's just a lot easier to use the serpentine belt removal tool. And we're going to use a 15mm socket and wrench. Okay, so this is the diagram for the routing of the serpentine belt. At the top here, this is the power steering pump. And if you go to the right here, that is the alternator. Come around the alternator here. This is the idler pulley that rounds it around. This down here is the AC compressor. Then we come back around. This is the harmonic balancer, or the crankshaft. After the crankshaft, you come back around here to the belt tensioner. After the belt tensioner, you go back around the power steering pump. So it's important to remember this before you take it off. Make note of it. Look at it before you take it apart, because this is how it needs to reassemble. Okay? Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is going to remove this front cover here. To remove this cover, there are two, I don't want to say bolts, but there are two rivets that pop out. So those come out. I've already taken them out. So this folds back. We take those. This shroud comes off. I'm gonna set to the side. Okay, two more things you're gonna need. You're gonna need a 13mm socket right there, and an 8mm wrench. All right. So the 13mm socket, you're going to take out the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these 13mm bolts that hold in this gusset piece for the frame. You take that gusset piece out, set it to the side. Then you take your 8mm wrench and you disconnect your terminals from the battery right here. 8mm wrench disconnects the battery. Then you carefully lift your battery. Try not to damage these clips that hold in the nuts there, or the bolts. And it's a very tight fit. Oh, also, to remove the battery, you're going to need your 13mm bolt down there. Right here. Yep, good to see there. Keep the camera tight. Right here, that 13mm bolt to pull out this piece that holds the battery in place. With this out of the way, the gusset out of the way, the terminals disconnected, move the terminals out of the way, move them back, and then you can lift the battery. Remember, brace yourself. Don't lift with your back. And I'm just going to set down the battery there. Okay, so now we need to remove the serpentine belt. For this, you can use a 1/2-inch ratchet, which makes it a little bit more difficult, but I prefer to use an actual serpentine belt tool. Here it's kind of nice and wide right there, but it has a slim profile like that. It's a lot slimmer than the socket wrench here. It may not seem like much, but I'll show you why it's a lot easier once we go down to the serpentine belt here. You can put right here, just line it up and finagle it on there. But as you can see from that angle, if we were to put it on there, it just takes a lot more. Yep, we could do it like that. But then right here, you can just keep the camera angle there. It's really tight to move, and it just kind of gets in the way. If the radiator and the other components were in place, we wouldn't have as much room. So that's why I prefer to just go ahead and use the serpentine belt tool. It doesn't move, it doesn't ratchet. It pops right in place, and you can swing around, Jake, here. See the profile right here? Okay, back it up, yep. Swing it around a little bit more. See how slim that is from the serpentine belt tool? Yep.
A lot more room to work with.
As opposed to putting in the clunky wrench right there. Especially because you got that line for the air conditioning. Alright, so now you can back up for a moment. And then we're gonna put in the other piece of the wrench here. Alright, and now we're gonna put it back in place there. It goes in. And now I'm just gonna pull back on the serpentine, on the tensioner. And now the tension is off right here. I got one hand, and it's nice having all this lever arm right here. Now look down here at my left hand. See right here where my left hand is? Oh, you have to go back towards the back a little bit. Right there, with the tension off, I can just slide the belt right off of the idler pulley right there. You see how it's off right now, Jake?
Yep.
That's when it's off, and I'm going to put it back on. I'm going to block the light a little bit, and back on. Boom. It's just that easy. The serpentine belt tool.
Well, we get quite a good shot. So.
Okay, let's do it again then. So right there, the belt is on. The serpentine belt is on. It's on the idler pulley. Right there. Right here, this is the idler pulley. Alright. And it's not coming off. Once I crank down and ease off on the tensioner, it slides right off. Do you get that?
Yep.
And likewise, it's easy to take it, slide it off, and slide it back on. Okay, it slides off. Now that it's off, I can just back off the tension. And it's so easy, so much easier with a serpentine belt tool. I've used a ratchet before and a pipe, and it's just so much easier with the right tool. I'm going to take that, move that out of the way, and I'm going to go ahead and move my serpentine belt tool out. Alright, so I've got the serpentine belt tool out. Next is I need to remove the old idler pulley. This guy right there, you see? Right here. Oh, okay, back it up, back up to zoom. It's this guy I need to remove. And right here, that nut is that 15 millimeter nut. Yep, I'm going to use the 15 millimeter socket right there. And I like this wrench because it has a low profile also. See how it's really narrow? A lot more narrow than a half-inch drive. But it's not quite an apples to apples comparison. I'll show you the
piece we need to replace?
Yeah. Even compared to another 3/8 inch drive ratchet. There we go. That'll probably make a better shot right there. See how this ratchet's a lot slimmer profile? So I like it's easier for closer quarters. Alright. Now we got that in. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. I'm going to start turning counterclockwise here to loosen up the idler pulley. Alright. And you can just kind of... So just a quick note, I did loosen this previously, that way you don't see me struggling on camera trying to loosen it up. But here it comes out, just nice and smooth, and probably can... If you have music right here, you can just speed up this process. Right. So now that it's loose, I can turn the nut here in my hand. Or the bolt, actually. Like that. Almost. Okay.
It's
Now
still
let's see it. I got the idler pulley right here in my hand, and I just dropped it.
Oh, let me try and get it.
I got it right here. And ta-da! Here's the idler pulley. Okay, so this is the old idler pulley. This is the new idler pulley. We're going to have to reuse a few parts from it. We're just going to gently turn this counterclockwise to pull out the backing of the old pulley. So this is the backing. This is the bolt, and this is the front part of it. Alright. And once again, we're going to compare sizes. Yep. They're the same size. Fantastic. Now, make sure we got a clean surface here. Well, that's new, it's clean. But also,
We need to reuse that.
exactly, we need to reuse this. And I want to make sure that I have a complete clean surface here with the other surface. And I don't know if you noticed, but you can see it's got a slight groove right there. And that slight groove helps keep it centered once it sits on there. It's centered on the pulley. And also this other piece. This is the part that sits against the engine block. I want to make sure that it's clean and free of debris, and I'll go back and clean the block where it sits against the engine. But it goes in. Clean, 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 and just gonna set it down. Turn it in, turn it in, turn it in. It's not threaded. I can just slide it down, but I would rather not risk that. But now it's all centered in. So it goes back in, and I don't know if you want to show the hole where it came from. I don't know if you can show it on camera. Can you get right here?
It's a bit dark.
Yeah, it's kind of a tight space. Yep, good job working the light.
How are we going to take the belt out?
We'll take it out in a moment, but right now, one step at a time. Okay, the new pulley. Just gonna grab it. Hey, Doc. What's up, Doc? Yep. What's up?
Like, I actually filmed the entire thing.
Yes, then Jake's gonna go back and edit it.
Yeah.
So I got it in place. I'm turning it around, and I'm just gonna slide it in, and we'll start finger tightening the bolt, the pulley, because I do not want to risk cross threading or damaging the threads here, because this does go on the actual engine block, and
If we break that, then
it's a world of trouble, which I would rather not do. Alright. Okay, now I'm just going to tighten this by hand right here. Alright, now that I finger tightened it in, I'm going to go ahead and take my 15 millimeter bolt, and I'm going to tighten it up. Just got to be careful not to damage the threads, because this goes right into the engine block, and I really like the Cadillac. I don't want to damage the engine. Okay, so this is the old serpentine belt on this side. Notice how it's got cracks like that. And then look at the one on the right. It's starting to deteriorate. So while I'll look at the backside. I mean, the backside still looks pretty good. Of the old one and the new one.
old.
Yep, old.
New.
But since we're taking down the serpentine belt and taking out the idler pulley, it's a good time to replace it, so that's why. Okay, so one thing to take note of when putting in the new idler pulley is that the backing piece right here, don't know if you can get it. Oh, just hold still, Jay. It actually has a thread right there, and it needs to be snugged up pretty good, so it just goes in like that. You got your backing piece, and then you got your front piece. Make sure that the front piece seats properly on there so it doesn't wobble. Once it seats on there, it locks on. And then you're going to take the other front piece. And I'm just going to get right there. I feel that it's seated on there properly. Yeah, it's not, see, that's off-centered. But once I put it in, push on it, and up. It is now seated properly. Then this actually threads in. It threads in nice and snug. I'm going to check that I'm still centered. And now that it's centered, carefully take my 15mm bolt and just give it a nice hand tight. It's nice and hand tightened. And when I put it in, it holds it in place. See how it's now held in place as one unit?
Shaky.
Yep, it's no more shaky when I put it in the first time. I tightened it down, it didn't feel right. It was kind of shaky, and it didn't feel like it was tightening. Now I'm gonna take it carefully without dropping it or getting it loosened up. I'll once again reinstall it back in its housing. I'm going to well, I've got to be careful to turn it at the head of the bolt, not at the armature or anywhere else. So it does not come loose. Okay, so that was finger tightened in. Now, okay. Now I'll tighten it down with the ratchet. There we go. And as I ratchet back on it, I'm going to try just hold the socket here. Nope. In place. That way I avoid loosening it up. There we go. Okay, now that feels much better. When I tightened it up the first time, it didn't feel right.
Is there a problem?
No, I'm just feeling the tension on here. Oh. No, I'm just slowly tightening it, feeling the tension. I don't want it to, I want it to go to tight. I don't want to risk stripping it. Now that feels better. You can probably go back to the other video and film. You'll grab the part of the video where it went clink, clink, clink.
Yeah, I just show that clip.
Yeah, so you just show that clip. Now it's not going clink, clink, clink.
Yeah, it's firm.
Yeah. Okay, that feels good. Alright, so next I gotta put the new serpentine belt on. So right here, I want to stretch the serpentine belts. Make sure they're pretty much the same length. You're good. The needle's going to be a little bit more tense because of the...
It's not worn out.
Well, no, it's because of the natural bends. This one's all nice and loose. This one has been sitting on like this for a while, months, maybe years. Alright, this is the fun part. Alright. Got my handy dandy diagram here. Put it right there where I can refer to it. So I like to start with the crankshaft, or just feed it in here. And I like to start feeding it up in the back there. The crankshaft, and then work my way around, but it's easier if I just work from the way back. And I'm glad I took the battery out. Well, it helps take the battery out so I can put my light and see what I'm doing. So this crankshaft to the air conditioner. Okay, so what I prefer doing, I like to go down and loop it around right here. This is the crankshaft. I like to start the furthest point away. Crankshaft, AC compressor. Get those two at the bottom. And then come back around the tensioner right there. Then to the power steering pump. Alternator here. And then the very last one I'm going to leave in is the idler pulley, which that just allows me to slip it on right there at the idler pulley. So okay, so I just checked, make sure that the serpentine bolt was seated properly on all the pulleys, because if it's not going to tighten. So now it is, and this should be able to just crank it down. There we go. Should seat on. Okay, so I got the serpentine belt to fit in. The key to it is that you got to make sure that the belt over here on the groove side, it is in all the grooves first, in every one of them in the back. Off the crankshaft, on the harmonic balancer, on the AC pulley, on the air conditioner, power steering, crankshaft, alternator. And then that's going to take out all the slack, so you can then just put it on smoothly on there. So that's just the key to it. All right, and that's it.
Cut.